So back when I was in 10th standard, my brother promised me a PlayStation Portable if I scored well in 10th standard. Guess what? I did score well and I landed myself this crazy device. I don't need to remind you. So we're talking about 8,000 Indian rupees back in 2008, which was roughly around like 24,000 rupees today. This PSP has been lying for quite some time, and it would have been very easy for me to just either throw it away in the trash or keep it in the cupboard so that it becomes like a heirloom item. So the goal was to put it to good use and make it a little more timeless, because hey, it's a symbol of love. And let me tell you how I did this. And by the way, this PSP is actually in a working condition. It's not broken. Step 1 was to decide the size and order this outer shell. I was certain that I needed something big enough, but I still needed a reference size. I still needed to see how a particular size will look on the wall. And thankfully, my wife and I got a caricature done at an office event last December, and size was around 11 by 14 inches. And more or less, that size seemed good enough. It was still kind of a gamble though. Because I needed depth in this frame, I had to order this thing called a shadow box, which is nothing but a frame which has a decent amount of depth. Now, step 2 was where I had to dismantle it. I had opened it before for some repair purpose, so I knew what I was doing, but still I didn't want to break it. So I followed a YouTube video. I still ended up breaking one of these PCB locks. Well, after the dismantling, I had a quick dry run to see if things are falling in place. I realized that the shadow box is not enough. That is the 0.6 inches depth that it has. It's not enough. So I ordered a new one, which had around 1 inches of depth, if I remember correctly. So step 3 was to print out the background in the correct format. While when I'm saying it appears to be an easy job, it was the toughest one. So there were 3 primary challenges. The first one was the drawing and the layout itself. This wasn't like a big problem for me because I am accustomed with Photoshop and InDesign, so I could just use them and call it a day. Then the second problem, or the second challenge, was the printout, because I needed a fancy printer for this big of a print. I couldn't just use the print that I have in my home. So after some research, I decided that it's best to go with the Walmart printing services. I could just upload it online and pick it up the same day. And they also had the 11 by 14 size. Then the major challenge was the dimensions. And when I say the dimensions, what I mean is the dimensions that I'm seeing on the computer screen should match the real world dimensions, because I will have to, I'll be putting the real PSP parts along with my drawing, or inside my drawing actually. So the inner area of the physical shadow box was 10.6 by 13.6, and here is my Photoshop artboard that was also like 10.6 into 13.6. And every PSP part also needs to have the correct relative size in my Photoshop file. I could have measured each part and draw a placeholder in Photoshop, but software engineers don't always have all the time in the world. The hack was that I took a picture of the box with all the items placed, then opened that picture in my Photoshop file and ensured that the dimensions of the picture match with that of the Photoshop artboard that I have. And voila, I took my sweet little time to draw all the stuff out and place the items in the correct spot. And I did another dry run here by printing out like a small part of the artboard using my home printer, and just to make sure that the dimensions are fine and things appear to be really good. Now, I finally got this printed using the Walmart print services, did another dry run with the actual printout, only to realize that something feels a bit off. So a couple of things. First, my brand logo was very much towards the corner, like the bottom left corner, and won't be visible when all of this is in the frame on the wall. I also wanted to put the memory card on the display and needed changes in the drawing itself. And the major problem was that everything was a little scaled up and the dimensions were not perfect. And the other problem was that the new frame was actually, you remember I ordered a new frame? It was a little different. It was 10.3 by 13.3. No, then I realized what the real problem was. The JPEG file that I eventually created out of Photoshop, of course, it was 10.6 by 13.6. It was scaled to 11 by 14 by Walmart. I was back to the drawing board. There were a couple of steps that I took. First, I moved all the stuff that I had in my artboard to a 10.3 into 13.3 to ensure that things are in the right place as per my new shadow box. Then I did a lot of adjustments, added the new drawings for the memory card, and then finally moved all of that to 11 by 14 artboard without any scaling or whatsoever to make sure that whatever I give to Walmart is what I get in the actual printout. I sent it out for printing, picked it up along with a glue gun and some other glues, and did like a final dry run, and things were just perfect. Now, step 4 was to execute and get the hands dirty. I brought out all my weapons, the wooden glue, the glue gun, and this other glue. First, I needed to paste the printout on the base. I used the wood glue for that, and at a few places I used this other glue as well. Then for almost everything else, I just used the glue gun. Everything was smooth until I got down to the screen. Now the screen is not attached to the front panel, so I had to first attach it separately to the front panel and then finally attach the front panel to the base. And step 5 was the eureka moment, as in finally. So finally I needed to put this thing on the wall. So if you see the layout of my room, there were 3 options. I could either put it at the back of the primary table or towards the front of the primary table, or on the side wall. Now, benefits of the front side would have been that it would be visible when I take calls. Then the benefit of the side wall would be that if someone enters in the room, it'll be visible right away. But for some reason, putting it on the back side of the primary table, on the back wall of the primary table, made more sense to me, because if I am recording videos, it'll be visible. But sadly, it is not visible because it's kind of like reaching the skies. Right now, it's placed here. Anyway, the end result is amazing and I just love it. I must tell you that this feeling is very similar to the one you get seeing the output of a code that you have been hacking at for like multiple days. Will I do it again? Hell yeah. Like, I have a couple of mobile phones lying around and will definitely frame them as well when I do get the time. And folks, that's all for today. I hope this art and craft session was worth your time. And if you also did some art and craft as a software engineer, send me the pictures and I will post a few pictures on the community post section. If you are new to the channel, this is not what I do usually. Check out my other videos and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you in the next one. Bye.